everybody. That was such an amazing experience because it's, an election season, and it's been really tough for teachers doing remote learning. It's been tough for their students. It's been tough for everyone. It's been tough for you. And so that was just such a refreshing and inspiring experience. And I really appreciate your time tonight. I know you're working so hard at getting out the youth vote with Prom at the polls in your respective organizations. And, what we do all the time as educators is have these webinars about our craft and how we reach young people. And something that you all made me realize before this event was that we never bring you into the conversation, and you're our audience, you're our inspiration. So it was just so great to flip it and have you inspire us. And I really feel like teachers who are feeling kind of exhausted left this discussion with just like a renewed sense of purpose, right? So let's just recap. So first of all, for anyone who might have missed the beginning of it or wants to learn about it again or hear more about it, tell me your inspiration for Prom at the Polls. What made you inspired to do this?
I think really, obviously, we're all younger people. We're all members of Gen Z, and we're just hyper aware of the importance that everyone has in voting. And when I say everyone, I mean everyone. I don't just mean the people who traditionally vote. I mean the people who don't traditionally vote, the people who are in our generation, the people who are voting for the first time. And we said, well, a lot of these people don't plan on voting. A lot of these people don't know what voting is like. A lot of these people feel uncomfortable because they have to vote by mail for the first time. So we said, well, let's take this, weird situation and try to make it something great. Try to flip it around on its head, and make it a fun experience, and also teach people about voting and how it can be a good thing rather than a stressful experience, and how it's so important.
Awesome. So, Sophia, give us just the broad strokes of what Prom at the Polls exactly is. And, we have almost 6 days until actual election day, even though that's the last day to vote. Walk us through what people can do from today to election day to support Prom at the Polls.
Yeah, so like we've been talking about, Prom at the Polls is a grassroots youth-led organization focused on getting Gen Z out to vote and exciting Gen Z about the process of voting. And we're doing that through 2 social media challenges, hashtag dress up to vote and hashtag promposals. So they work together. So you prompose to someone and ask them to vote with you. And you really kind of double your vote or even triple your vote if you're asking more than one person. And you're just creating a whole group of people going out to the polls or voting by mail or early. There's not that many days left, so I don't really know exactly which states can still do that. But just making sure that not only are you voting, but everyone around you is too. So that's promposals. And then dress up to vote, kind of self-explanatory, but put on prom attire, put on an outfit that makes you feel fancy and special, and go vote and feel really happy and excited and look great while doing it. And those are the 2 social media challenges that we have going on with Prom at the Polls. And Santiago can talk a little bit about what we have coming up this Sunday.
Oh yeah, tell us all about that. Everyone needs to tune in. What are we tuning into?
Yeah, so on Sunday, we are doing the first, my internet is unstable. On Sunday, we are doing the first ever virtual reality prom. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having an online virtual space with a lot of special guests. We'll be having so much fun. We're having videos, we're having Q&As, we're having informational videos, educational videos, PSAs. And at the end of the day, we just want it to be a celebration of democracy. We know prom is generally what people do when they graduate high school. It shows it's a celebration. You're an adult now. You're not in high school anymore. And voting is just part of it. It's part of being an adult. It's the first real adult thing you got to practice. And doing that is you're celebrating both. You're celebrating both that you graduated, you're celebrating your prom, and you're also celebrating the fact that you can go vote.
That's awesome. I can't wait. I'll definitely be tuning in. Maybe I'll even try to get involved in the virtual stuff. We'll see. So, okay. So the election we know election day is next Tuesday, a week from today. But I'm curious about how we move this forward. So first of all, Jerome, tell us what issues are driving young people to the polls, and then how do we take this movement and keep moving forward with it? Because this is just, to me, this is just the beginning, and I'm sure you agree.
Absolutely. There's young people have been organizing and have been waiting for the moment to really have an impact in the political sphere. And now in 2020, as 22 million young people turn 18, we're seeing climate justice, we're seeing gender and racial equity, we're seeing gun violence prevention, and we're seeing so many other movements rise to the stakes of like national profile. We're seeing so many people organizing across America and across the world for youth issues. And I think that this is just the beginning. This is just us really stepping on the political stage and saying we're here, but we're not just going to be here and just leave. We're going to be here to stay. We're here to continue organizing after November 3rd and continue to build into 2021 and 2022. So elected officials continue to advocate for youth issues and continue to advocate for our generation, because we are the next generation of Americans. So we're the next generation of people that need to be cared for and to be advocated for. So this is just the beginning. We're going to continue organizing with 1 million of us, voters tomorrow, prom at the polls. We're just going to continue doing fun, engaging things that really inspires our generation to get out and be civically active.
That's amazing. So since PBS NewsHour Extra, our biggest audience, of course, is both students and teachers, how can teachers support you? What can we do? I mean, you all already are your own inspiration, and you're inspiring young people and teachers like you did tonight. But what message do you have for both high school teachers and college teachers, and honestly, just K through 12 into college? Like, what advice do you have for those teachers to inspire more young people like yourselves?
Well, thinking back to teachers I've had in elementary school, middle school, and high school, I remember the lessons that I was taught about the election. I have my Scholastic news magazine from, I think it was second grade, when Barack Obama was running for president. And I have that, and I remember the lesson, and I remember being inspired to get involved because a teacher told me, like, hey, use your voice, speak up, and never be afraid to stand up for what you believe in. And it's things like that that motivate students, and they can go unnoticed, and not everyone is impacted by it, but the people who hear it and it resonates with them, it really sticks.
That's awesome. And I think that's really important, that it might not affect them that day in class, but it stays with them for a long time. So you just have no idea what you say that one day in class and what you share with them, the impact that it can have 10 years from now. So Matthew, do you want to chime in? And I think Santiago. Yeah, cool. And then Jerome. Yeah.
I mean, it's plain to see just how important educators are in the lives of their students and the people around them. Without educators, as Sophia illustrated, a lot of people wouldn't understand just how important being civically engaged is. I'm personally fortunate in that a lot of the people in my family are educators. My mother was an educator. Both my grandmothers were educators. So I grew up sort of learning from them. And seeing other people learn from them, about the importance not only of being civically engaged, but also of understanding the plights of your neighbor, the issues, engaging other people around the world that you might not see every day. And those are the kinds of things that inspired me, at least, and I'm sure inspire other people to want to take part, to want to help, to want to make the world a better place. Because at the end of the day, that's what your vote does. It helps align the world with what you think is, the best version of reality.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. Santiago and then Jerome, would love to hear from both of you on this.
Yeah, so I mean, I've said this so many times, and I said it during the meeting earlier, but most of the issues dividing us are generational, not political. And I mean, it's basically my catchphrase at this point, but it really means something, because what it says is that if we all show up to vote and if we all make our voices heard, we can actually act on many of the issues that are currently affecting the world. We know that Generation Z largely agrees on climate change. We might not agree on how to best solve it, but we know that it's there. We know that gun violence is something that's really important to young people, and that if we don't act on it, none of us are going to be able to actually enjoy our schools, because we're always going to be afraid of something happening. And one of the main things that we have to do is teach people that when they actually engage, their engagement has an impact. And that is part of what Prom at the Polls is doing. That's part of what Voters of Tomorrow is doing. That's part of what Million of Us is doing. We're teaching students that their voices actually do have an impact and their votes actually do change things. Because when they elected leaders that they actually believe in, they're actually affecting a change in society, and they're actually contributing to solving those issues that really make them worry, and in many cases make them stay up at night. So the main thing that we always have to do is remind students that what they're saying is really important and should be heard, and teaching them how to best make their voices heard, whether it's calling your congressperson, and whether it's calling your state senator, your local council member, or actually just showing up and voting for someone you actually believe in. It's really important. And our system isn't perfect. Sometimes there's going to be binary choices between people you don't necessarily agree in 100% with. But there is this really good illustration that says that voting isn't an Uber, it's more like public transportation. It won't take you exactly where you need to be, but it'll get you closer. And that's something that everyone needs to understand, and needs to be, if not happy with, at least have some make peace with, because changing the system is hard, and the only way to do it is by engaging. So if you engage, you can change the system to something that better fits you.
That's amazing. Yeah, it is all about engagement. And that seems to be the theme with all of you. It's amplifying the voices in the classroom, so you have that practice and empowerment, so you then take it beyond the classroom. So Jerome, what advice do you have for teachers to really inspire others?
Yeah, I think that when we talk about teachers and we talk about young people, I think that for so long, young people have not been included in the conversation. And for so long, we haven't been a part of the solutions. And for so long, we haven't even been allowed to take part in these solutions. I think that now, really, it's just all about telling the truth. It's about speaking truth to power. And I think that listening to all educators and young people out there, just understand that you have so much power in this election. You have so much sway to be able to understand what's happening in the classroom. That's the perfect opportunity to tell them about their history, tell them about how they can really change things and how they have been the source of change for so many decades, from the civil rights movement, from the anti-war movement, from the LGBTQ movement. Like, all these different movements spurred from young people being bold enough to go out in the streets and say enough is enough. We're going to advocate and continue to advance our society. And I think that's the role of educators, is to continue to fuel that fire of ambition and just that fire in our soul that just comes from being born as a young person in America. And that's really what I just encourage every educator and young person to remember, is that America is the land of continually striving to have that idea of liberty, justice for all. And that comes from us continuing to live up to our promise, and live up to that promise of liberty, and live up to that promise of equality. And that's what I just want to urge everyone to remember as they teach people, and that young people continue to learn.
That is so amazing. Yeah. And I think also just remember that even if your students are not of voting age, there's other ways to be political. And you are all the embodiment of that, right? Because you were doing this before you were a voting age, which is just so inspiring. And just learning and educating yourself is the first step to civic engagement.